Welcome to Hot News. We are live on Pan-African Television. We are also on Facebook at Pan-African Television, as well as YouTube at Pan-African Television. We are also streaming on about 48 African countries. My name is Justice Appiah, and tonight on Hot News, we are still discussing the approval of the e-levy, as well as yesterday's State of the Nation address presented by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Well, talk of the e-levy, you all know that the minority is in court over the decision by members of parliament, other members of parliament from the majority side to approve the e-levy. According to them, the numbers that were in the chamber for the approval of the e-levy couldn't have formed a quorum. And for that reason, they are going back to the Supreme Court to interpret its own ruling in the Justice Appiah's case, where they indicated emphatically that for a quorum to be formed to commence business, you need 2/3 of the members of parliament. But to take a decision on the floor of parliament, you need half of the members of parliament. And if you're talking about half of the members of parliament, we are talking about 138 members of parliament. The National Democratic Congress MPs in parliament have alleged that as at the time of voting on the floor of parliament at the consideration stage and then the third reading and all of that, you had about 136 members of parliament from the majority side. According to them, the Honorable Adjasafo wasn't in parliament, when the bill was approved. Also, they have alleged that one member of parliament from the side of the majority was very ill and couldn't have been on the floor of parliament, though there were allegations that he was transported in an ambulance to the premises of the precinct of parliament. Unfortunately, he wasn't in the chamber at the time of voting. Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, has also accused the Clerk of Parliament for, altering the, I would call it the register. Of course, according to him, some members of parliament from the minority side were present, yet they were marked absent. Also, some members of parliament from the majority side that were absent were marked present. He has been alleging, we'll come to that and all of that. But let me drift from the passage of the e-levy and then come to the 2022 SONA. I'm talking about the State of the Nation address presented by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo yesterday. The president mentioned some few things, including over 10,000 kilometers of roads constructed, across the country. That has been refuted by the minority in parliament. He has also talked about the Agenda 111 and the fact that he's going to finish with all those projects before he exits office as the president of the land. Is that possible? Are we able to get the money to finance all those projects? We'll delve deeper into some of those issues. But first and foremost, let's listen to Honorable Isaac Ejay Mensah on the issue of the 2022 State of the Nation address, especially one that has to do with, construction of some over 10,000 kilometers of roads, as said by the president. Let's listen to him. We'll be right back.
The presentation or the president's commitment or the president's pronouncement that he has constructed roads more than any other government since independence. So let's put it in perspective. Currently, what we have now is that on 3 occasions, including the president, the minister came. First, it was the chairman for roads and transport. He came and emphatically said his job is even on the line. That Nana Akufo-Addo in his first term has constructed roads more than any other government, and that the total road Nana Akufo-Addo has constructed was over 3,600. That was from the chairman of roads and transport. The second one was the minister for roads and transport, when he made a press conference that his government, Nana Akufo-Addo, has constructed roads more than any other government, and over 4,000. So he was asked to come to parliament to explain and bring details. When he came, he was even fumbling, but he was asked to go and bring details. When he brought the details, the total roads that Nana Akufo-Addo has constructed is 4,225 kilometers. These are roads that he's constructed, but when you check the details of the roads, they are asphalt overlay, they are regraveling, they are bituminized surfacing and all those. All he's done is that he has improved, he has added value, developed, maintained the existing road network. So in all, since 2017-2021, Nana Akufo-Addo's minister, he came on a record that he has constructed roads, and that is the road that he says is even more than everyone, 4,225 kilometers. Again, today the president here, he's also saying that he's constructed roads more than any other government to the tune of 10,085 kilometers. What are you talking about? The issue is that it is not for MPP activists. It is not for the regional minister. It is not for any other person to talk about road. Road as a ministry. So if I talk about health, there's a ministry for that. So it is the technocrats who will do the survey, who will get the details for you. So you go there because the technocrats are there. Until they retire or they are sacked or they leave, they are there. You, the politicians, you come and go. So we don't take records from MPP. We take records from the ministry, by the technocrats. So the issue is that on 3 occasions, Nana Akufo-Addo's people are saying that they've constructed road 3,600. Another one saying, oh, no, they've constructed road 4,225. And now the president is saying that ever he's constructed 10,000, which is not true. So that on record is what you have. You know what you can know? If you want to know the construction of roads, as it is maintenance, you go to the budget. And we have delved into the details on all the budgetary allocation, everything is there. President Mahama, he took power in 2012. In 2012, the total road network, let me explain network. The network is the length of all the roads that we have in this country. So we call it inventorized network. The inventorized network is what is in the books, so that you can go and grade, you can go and tie and whatever. As at the time that President Mahama was leaving, the total road network was 78,402 kilometers. That is what you have now. And none has been added onto it. He inherited a road of 68,067 kilometers from 2012. So I'm asking you, when somebody takes a road network, the length of a road, 68,067 kilometers in 2012, and at the end of his term, 2016, he has developed and managed the road up to 78,000, whatever. What are you saying? So the difference is 10,344 kilometers. Nana Akufo-Addo inherited the same, and he has not been able to even add a kilometer. What he has done now is, and I think I agree with him, you need to develop the road, because when the roads, potholes comes and go, you do it. When you think that you have to add asphalt, you do it. And that's what he's been doing. But unfortunately, he hasn't done that maintenance work more than any other government. What President Mahama did in his first, as far as maintenance is concerned, and in the books and in the budget everywhere, you go to Mr.
Right there. He wasn't the only person who has expressed, dissatisfaction with the statements made by the president during the presentation of the States or Nations address. Member of Parliament for South Tongue, Honorable Woyome, has also expressed some dissatisfactions, some disagreements and all of that with regards to what the president said. Let's listen to him as well.
I must say that you and I are in this country, and we know we represent people, we represent constituents, and our offices are inundated with visitors and people from various constituencies, various walks of life, and so we do know exactly how people feel as we speak. It is bad, it is difficult, it is so challenging, to the extent that it's making it quite more difficult for members of parliament, because almost everybody are looking up to us, believing that we are able to do everything. Unfortunately, we are not. But we listen. And so if we listen to His Excellency the President putting across statements as we are doing so well as an economy and a country, and then we are living very well, I beg to differ on this. And when we zero on maybe the roads sector, I can cite few examples in my constituency, because there were roads being constructed before the MPP government came, and immediately they assumed power, those roads stopped. Contractors left the road because they failed to pay them some certificates that they raised. Not one, not two, and it's been so. And so if you look at the way the roads have become so deteriorated, and now we are even praying, it's as if we don't want the rains to fall. But the issue is that if the rain doesn't fall, how then do you grow your produce, agricultural produce? And so we are torn between one, praying for the rains to come, so that at least we are able to get many of our produce on the farms to do well, against no rains at all, so that at least we are able to drive on our roads throughout the year. So this is how it is. And so we haven't really felt what the president said in terms of roads that have been done. Not in my area, not in my constituency, I'm sure not even in the Volta region. And so the reflection of it tells you that then it's not so what it is across the country. And so maybe on that we may have to look at it again. And then when you look at the healthcare, I mean, I have two main facilities in my area. We have the district hospital, and then we have the Komboni, which is run by the Catholic Church, but I think government to an extent assists. My brother, what it is that facilities in these hospitals keep deteriorating, no replacement, to the extent that hospital administrators will have to write to people for donations, support, help. And a strategic hospital such as Socio-economic hospital that is located on a highway as Aflau, Sugagope down to Accra, and you know, being a highway, and of course one of the international ECOWAS roads, and so you should be able to appreciate the volume of traffic on the road. That is again witnessing series of accidents, unfortunately, and a hospital such as that is located midway between Denu and maybe Dawinya, okay, so that in case there is any accident, it will be better to travel victims to a facility along the corridor that you are sure you will not encounter traffic, so that at least victims can get to facilities early for attention. Because if you are moving a victim, accident victim from, say, Dawinya or Central University towards Accra, the traffic you will encounter, you probably may have to be in the traffic for more than 2-3 hours, whereas it could take you just some few minutes to drive back to maybe Suakope. And so there's been that cry that we need a place transformed into a trauma center, so that such situations can be, cared for, so that those that are beyond them at least will be stabilized.
Right, that was Honorable Wisdom Kobna Woyome, Member of Parliament for South Tong constituency. Listened to him. I've been joined in the studio by Eli Kemp Kotoko, a member of the National Democratic Congress Communications Team. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Justice.
Right.
I'm doing good.
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. Also in the studio is Mr. Solomon Wusu, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party Communications Team. It's also good evening.
Very well, my brother.
You're looking good in your seat.
Thank you very much.
Right. I'm sure you are coming from a meeting.
A meeting, so I had to rise down here and then.
You've never been here, but as for today, you've been here, quite.
Yeah, late. Yes.
I mean, I was wondering where my brother went. I don't understand.
Yes, I had to.
But thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful for your time. But I'll start with you, Eli Kemp.
Yeah.
On the issues I've tabled out for discussion. e-levy, its approval, minority in court for interpretation of the ruling by the Supreme Court in itself. And then also the 2022 State of the Nations address by the President. The President has made some statements. People think that, well, those statements are not factually true. The about 10,000 kilometer roads constructed, as well as the Agenda 111 project, which he claimed by the time he leaves office, those projects will be done. They will finish with those projects and all of that. Take on that.
Thank you so much, Justice. Good evening to our viewers and to my brother as well. First and foremost, the e-levy.
Right.
I must begin my submission by commending the minority for standing up strongly in the good interest of the people of Ghana, right from the beginning of this whole brouhaha over the e-levy. I am also very impressed by the decision they made and the steps they took during the process, and that was in the good interest of Ghanaians as well, in a bid to ensure that not only were they not going to be part of that process, but in order to render any process of legalizing or passing the e-levy an illegality. As we stand, that is what it still looks like it is to us, and which is the reason why 3 of our minority members have actually proceeded to court to seek further action on that, based on the same Supreme Court's ruling on which there was a need to form a quorum. I am only expressing my sincerest disappointment that the Speaker, probably she is human, forgot to have realized the need to inquire if the House had formed a quorum at the time he was posing the question. If you recall, when the budget was also to be presented, you recall how the majority, the Speaker put the question of quorum, and for which reason no action was taken. But it's unfortunate that happened the last time. But I am so grateful for what the minority have consistently stood their grounds for in doing in terms of the e-levy. I mean, this electronic levy, we have talked so much about it already. I know you saw the urgency, the speed with which the president quickly assented his to it. But I don't think all is over yet. Right. But I also would want to send word to Ghanaians watching and listening to us today. It will be very insincere, insensitive, and very unwise also to actually put the blame squarely on the minority in Parliament. Why am I saying so? The minority at the time of being in Parliament did not make the exact number that could challenge the majority. They were shot by 1 MP, whilst the majority also didn't have Ajosafo with them. I was told one particular MP who was very ill was compelled by the president to be carried in an ambulance and taken to the Parliament to just in order for him to vote. And I'm surprised that the president will not care about his health rather than want to just have his way. But all the same, that is a decision for the NPP to take. So I commend the minority for the decision and the steps they took. And that is why Ghanaians need to know that the minorities walking away from Parliament rendered the majority in Parliament not to have formed the quorum. And their number didn't form the quorum. Per the Supreme Court's ruling on Article 104, it meant they ought to have been more than 137. They ought to be 138, which they were not. And so that is also another matter for which the 3 other MPs, Honorable Haruna Ayeriga and Ablakwa, are pursuing in court. And also other people. I think I read another group also. So this is a matter of interest to people. Permit me to again also say that there are a couple of other people, celebrities, etc., who suddenly have now found their voice and are wearing them. I'm so sorry, but that's hypocritical. You ought to have been speaking very strongly on this matter long before it go. You don't wait until it gets to this level. People are scared of the regime, that they will be, I'll be vindicated, I'll be victimized, I will be, so they shy away from wanting to now comment on political matters. And that is very worrying, because it means there's some tyranny, some culture of silence creeping in steadily, which is not good for our fledgling democracy. That notwithstanding, I think there's a need for us to also quickly institute an investigation into the conduct of the Clerk of Parliament. What did he do? We're told that the clerk was marking some MPs present and others absent haphazardly. And if that indeed is true, then he ought to be sanctioned. And if it is the same clerk that I'm told, I recall how when we had to settle on a speaker, how he conducted himself and is still doing so, then his glaring affiliation probably is becoming, is being put there, and that must be questioned. But if he cannot be objective, fair, and apply the ethics of the standards that are expected of him at work.
The Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Abdul has taken the blame.
Yeah, I mean, that is good.
For the conduct.
That is what a good leader does. That is one thing you and I will agree.
It happens, errors happen everywhere.
True, that is one good, that is one good hallmark of a genuine and a good leader. One major quality that is totally missing in this current regime, where President Nana Addo cannot take a responsibility for anything but blame everybody else. And that is one thing missing in this regime. So that is good that the Speaker felt that if there was an anomaly or something went wrong, the buck stops at his door. And so he was taking full responsibility. Like I told you, that I was expecting that he should have even put the question as to whether they formed a quorum before the question on voting. But that also he failed to do. And with regards to the SONA,
No, before we come...
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted me to box them together.
The question is...
Yes.
Why? What is it about e-levy that you want to kick against to the latter. Government says they need the e-levy to be able to embark on developmental projects.
Does it make sense to any person who is logical that a regime that has borrowed more than 240 billion and could not show much for it is telling you and I today that they need 6 billion? As we speak, you will see for yourself the figures. I mean, Momo transactions will drop drastically. People are already deactivating their accounts, etc. And you see, so that is not even a concrete, that is just a forecast they made. If, for instance, half of the people decide to stop using Momo now, what will government say? They will now come back and again say, okay, we were unsuccessful at that, and therefore, look, that is why I told you the last time that there were certain actions of government that were expected long ago and they failed to act. It is not now that we are already down in the abyss, then you feel that you're now doing this. When the president was living his luxurious lives and we spoke to him, I repeat, he was acting like a headless chicken, would not listen to anybody. Now that he has found himself in somebody's soup, he feels that he wants to now recall, and then, no, it doesn't work like that. The electronic levy, we have said it. Who taxes capital? Who taxes savings? Who taxes withdrawals? It just doesn't make sense to anybody. And so this is because a regime has failed and refused to listen to good advice. And they will always say, what is the minority proposing? What is the minority solution? We have always given you solutions. You've refused to listen. And this is where we've gotten to. When they were starting, we told you about the appointees. We told you how they need to cut down on that. We told you how they need to cut down on the expenditure. We told you about some of the actions they were taking that were very needless. The president went about, as we speak right now, we don't even want to talk about it anymore. The so-called National Cathedral is still there ongoing. Where funds are being sought for, we do not know. The president is now trying to tax his own people to cut down on pay and all of this. Actions that ought to be taken long ago. This is where we are now. Petrol is now 11 cedis a liter. The dollar is now at 8 cedis. The pound is above 10 cedis. And so is inflation above 17%. Then our debt to GDP is also above 80%. Where are we heading to as a nation? A total mess of a regime headed by a leader who doesn't listen and arrogantly will be flaunting himself until he finds himself in where he finds himself. And we'll come to Sona, where you saw the clownish attitude that was displayed by a president, a sitting president, head of state who should be serious at a matter that was being discussed. This is where we are.
But, I mean, finally, it has been passed. Why is it that the minority would not put this issue to rest? Now,
Ghanaians, it's not a matter of the minority, Justice. It's Ghanaians that are opposed to it. Look, go out there on the streets and ask. And there is one thing I want those watching us to know. Once, if this e-levy is even passed, you should look at your member of parliament in the majority. Look him in the face and you must know that he or her they are the people who are in support of the electronic levy. Then you will know what action to take on them the next time. Because they themselves may not necessarily even suffer. This is actually an action to impoverish the poor.
I see. But you cannot also talk about, you know, the economic situation we are in without looking at the challenges faced by government. We're talking about...
Who brought us in here?
President Akufo-Addo yesterday also talked about the fact that we cannot also run away from the fact that the Ukrainian and then the Russian conflict has also, you know, affected economies across the world, and Ghana is of no exception.
A lazy works man will always complain about his works tool. And President Nana Addo is a classical example of such phrase.
I see.
And you see, President Nana Addo forgot that as Ghanaians, we were living here before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and we were aware that the cedi started depreciating before Russia started invading Ukraine. The debt to GDP, we told you long ago, kind courtesy even Honorable Isaac Adongo and Ato Forson, that it was above 80%, and they were just massaging figures to the IMF and to the World Bank.
Right.
We recall vividly that we're here and the petrol price was rising already before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So what is government telling us? This whole lazy man's attitude of an adult trying to be irresponsible and not taking responsibility for his actions is what Nana Addo is doing. So what exactly has Nana Addo done for taking responsibility for ever since he took office? Let's ask ourselves. What exactly has President Nana Addo taken responsibility for that? I failed to act right, I didn't take the right decisions, my vice president misled me, or this or that. We are here, we're moving about. You heard the vice president some time back told us that Momo will not have to be taxed. Today it is being taxed. Who are the leaders? Who exactly are in charge? So President Nana Addo has decided to make himself an ad hoc president. He acts as and when. And it's very shameful, to say the least, that if this is how adulthood is, it is not looking pleasant at all. Because President Nana Addo is not leaving any good legacy. He is not leading by any good example. And it is very scary for the future of Ghana. Presently, as we speak, look at the economic mess we find ourselves in. Shall we be blaming it only on Russian invasion of Ukraine? Did the Russian invasion of Ukraine start 5 years ago?
As well as COVID-19.
COVID-19 started even in 2020. So what about before 2020? What are the figures? We're already nose-diving. And the same COVID-19 is what made us a beneficiary.
Are looking very positive.
That is the reason why you see they keep confusing themselves. At one point they tell us that, oh, Ghana has been adjudged as the best managers of the COVID-19 pandemic. You've managed it very well and your economy is in tatters. Then what exactly is happening? So at one point they are doing well, the economy is on good footing. Then at another point they are blaming everything on COVID-19. Don't forget that they were the greatest beneficiary of COVID-19 funds. As we speak, they are still receiving funds in the name of COVID-19. The president during his sonar only told us that a certain, did he say 10 or 12 billion was spent on COVID-19. We will not be able to know the specific sectors that they spend those monies on. An avenue of chop for them. The regime has become an established corrupt institute. And that is very sorry to say the least.
Right, I'll come back to you on the sonar. Viewers, you're still watching Hot News right here on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. If you're watching us on Facebook, please share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. If you're watching us on Facebook, share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch, tonight's edition of the program. Now, let me come to you, Mr. Osu, on the issue of the approval of the e-levy. There have been issues. I mean, the minority has raised several issues, including heading to the Supreme Court to interpret, their own ruling in the Justice Appiah's case, where the Supreme Court said categorically that to form a quorum to make a decision in Parliament, you will need half of members of Parliament present and voting. Now, to the minority in Parliament, after they had walked out, there were about 136 MPs, excluding Honorable Justice and then the member of Parliament who took ill, though he was, according to reports, he was brought to the precinct of Parliament in an ambulance. Unfortunately, he wasn't in the chamber, and even if he was in the chamber, they would still not amount to 138 members who could have formed a quorum to take a decision. Your take on that as a government communicator?
First of all, let me greet your viewers and then also greet Elikem. I could see my brother struggling tonight, and he's very down, and I can understand the frustration because they have been misled by their members of Parliament.
I see.
It's very interesting how he quickly said we shouldn't blame the minority. If you ask me how we could not pass the e-levy in December of 2021 and had to extend it, it was due to the minority. Is that not so?
Right.
Numbers in Parliament has not changed as you speak. It is still a hung Parliament. Okay. So if the minority were hell-bent on carrying through what they had planned earlier or what they have been doing before, I don't think the e-levy would have been passed.
They gave explanation. They said at the time they were in the chamber, one of their members wasn't around, and we are talking about the Asin North MP who was at the time served to appear in court.
My brother, don't be entertaining this kind of political gymnastics that we have been taking through. It's sad that all of us, and on this platform, I said it severally, that the e-levy will pass because it had been passed. You know what is budget? When we say budget, what is budget? It is expected revenue and expected expenditure. Okay, so if we all agree that the 2022 budget was approved somewhere December, that it means the Parliament of Ghana approved both the revenue measures and the expenditure measures.
Okay.
How we were going to fund the various expenditures had been approved. And if you went into the budget, you realize that e-levy was one of those measures that the government has stated boldly that it was going to use to generate revenue to fund the various programs and policies of the government. So if you accept the budget as a universal set, how then do you turn around and say the components of the budget, we did not pass it? We had passed it, but the rest of it was all about politics, like we have been treated to. No, now they are telling us.
But you cannot take a levy, you cannot include a levy in a budget without it going through the parliamentary process of becoming a bill.
So absolutely. So the very moment you pass the entire budget, what was needed was to bring the bill to Parliament to shape it. I mean, you are not going to reject it all. You only bring a bill that will be acceptable by all parties so that the tax will go through. There was no way the e-levy was going to be rejected. But for the politics of it. Is it not interesting that
But it was rejected on several counts by the minority?
It was just for political expediency. And you know why now Ghanaians are very furious with the NDC?
Are they?
They are.
I see.
More than. And that is why my brother is finding it very difficult. It's not him alone. I have seen a concerted effort, more of a unism from the NDC communicators. That, oh, don't blame our members of the parliament. In fact, their communication officer, Sami Javi, had alleged a serious allegation that his MP was promised some monies because of the e-levy. And that is very serious.
His MP?
His MP.
Which of the MPs?
I don't know. Maybe the MP from his hometown or whatever. But he has made that allegation.
When did he say that?
He said it about 2 days ago.
On which platform?
On I think Asempa also.
I see.
Yes.
I'll verify that.
You verify it. But the truth of the matter is that now, as we speak, the president has assented to the bill. It is for Ghanaians to go ahead with our lives. We cannot continuously debate the e-levy when it has been passed.
But it looks like Ghanaians are furious. Ghanaians are angry. Ghanaians don't want the e-levy.
I myself, sitting here, I'm going to be affected by the e-levy. You see, if you are going to look at it from the point of view that it is money that is going to be taken from your pocket, definitely you'll be furious. If you like, open your phone lines and ask Ghanaians whether they want to pay any tax. Now, nobody will tell you he or she is interested in paying tax. But the truth of the matter is that without taxation or without taxes, this country will not move on. And that is the reality that the minority saw, hence the passage of the e-levy. Other than that, you took part in the debate on the floor of Parliament on the day. What prevented the minority from staying over and making sure that the right in terms of numbers? Why do you leave the chamber and later go and sit somewhere and tell us that, oh, we presume Justice Appiah didn't come, one of the MPs was very ill and so couldn't come? What prevented you from staying at the floor of Parliament?
A matter of strategy. You can't question
which one is strategy? And you run to the Supreme Court when the thing has been passed?
But
they are really disappointed their members.
So are you saying that if today the Supreme Court reviews their own decision and say that, well, by their decision, there wasn't a quorum to take a decision, definitely, I mean, an injunction may be placed. It may be reversed.
Until such a time.
So the court is there to straighten some of these things, true or false?
Until such a time. Yes, the court is there to do that. But as we speak,
it is within their right to go to court.
They have absolutely every right. To the extent that they will not resort to violence, I am all for it. But what I'm saying is that they had an opportunity to deal with the matter on the floor of Parliament.
They have explained.
They ran away. There is no explanation.
If you whisk, or if you transported the member of Parliament who took ill to Parliament to be part of the numbers, of course, then the New Patriotic Party in Parliament, of course, I'm talking about the majority, would end up having 137, where the minority would have 136. If they had voted on the floor of Parliament.
Now you are dabbling in the conjectures. Where were they? Where were they? The people that were supposed to defend. You see, let us make something clear to the minority and the majority. Once you are voted as a member of Parliament, you cease to be a member of Parliament for a particular political party. So anytime they are even referred to as minority, it annoys me. They are members of Parliament. They are there.
But they work with caucuses.
Why would you leave the chamber? You took part in the debate. Some amendments, proposed amendment that stood in the name of some of these MPs from the minority side that were supposed to shape the bill, they ran away. They were not even there to ask those questions.
There have been on several occasions where the New Patriotic Party side in opposition took part in debates, yet they walked out.
But I have never supported that. You are in Parliament not to be running away. You see, you know why it is gymnastics?
Okay.
Because whatever decision that is made at Parliament, there is nothing like a majority decision or MPP decision. It is the Parliament of Ghana's decision. This e-levy, whether you like it or not, is a decision of the Parliament of Ghana. And who constitutes the Parliament of Ghana? It's both the minority and majority. So for you to walk out, it doesn't mean anything. It is one of the strategies. If you agree to something and you don't want your members, I mean, they have been throwing dust into the eyes of their members. You remember when nominated ministers were going for vetting. What didn't we hear in this country? That, the NDC was going to make sure that half of them would not go through. At the end of the day, all of them went through.
But if I don't agree to something, and I feel that you are likely to bulldoze your way through, and I have a strategy, if it is working out, that would probably prevent the New Patriotic Party from not forming a quorum to be able to take a decision? Why can't I do so?
No, but did they happen like that? What you are saying?
But per the decision in Justice Abdullah's case from the Supreme Court, did we have 138 MPs in Parliament at the time they approved the bill?
Nobody has been able to convince me from the minority side that there was never a quorum on the floor of Parliament.
But they have said it. They said Ajosafo wasn't there. Was Ajosafo there?
Merely saying it does not justify the position.
There?
That is another matter that will be determined by the Supreme Court. Okay. And that is why they are in Supreme Court.
But if Ajosafo was absent, she was absent. Everybody knows that.
You do not know that for a fact.
I see.
So that is why people have gone to court. It is for you and I to wait for the decision that will be made by the court.
But in the register, she was marked absent. She wasn't there.
Now people are complaining about the register that they were even there, they were marked absent. So how can we even trust the register at this stage? So let us wait for the court to come up with a determination. Why are we in a hurry? My issue is that people were voted for to stay in Parliament.
Okay.
The NDC members were supposed to be there. You took part in debate on the e-levy only to run away. Why did they run? When they ran, they didn't go far. They were in the Chamber of Parliament organizing press conferences. Who are you fooling? You are always throwing dust into the eyes of your members, and it is not good. It is about high time we took our members very serious. That when we agree to something, this hula baloo that has affected the confidence in the economy, why must we be taken through that line? If we had done this in December, this country would have moved on. We have explained, and I'm sure we will be coming to the state of the nation.
Right.
We have explained to the people of this country, admitted that indeed we are facing some form of challenges in the economy, difficulties. We have not shied away from it. That is the more reason why this e-levy has come about. Other than that, if government had that fiscal space, why would we be bothering the people of this country with this tax? That is going to affect me, going to affect you. Mind you, there is nothing like NDC e-levy and MPP e-levy. All of us go to the same vendor to do momo.
Is the New Patriotic Party government led by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo a listening government at all?
Very much so.
Did he hear the complaints?
Which complaints?
From Ghanaians?
No,
that you don't like the e-levy?
Absolutely. The complaints are there, but there are certain things you can't do much about it. There are two options.
That if we don't implement the e-levy, the economy will collapse.
Absolutely.
Is that what it is?
I mean, the economy is already suffering.
Has it gotten to a point where all the borrowings you've made, all the bonds you have floated, all the collateralizations you've done, all the monies you've had, in fact, meeting revenue targets, we don't have anything in our pockets to run the country?
You don't want us to go back to the issue of COVID. And this evening, I was just listening to Joe Biden of the U.S. The U.S. is supposed to be the biggest economy in the world. They always trace their difficulty back to the COVID. You know, during COVID, you would agree with me that oil companies plummeted. Their production plummeted because there was no demand. All of a sudden, restrictions were eased, and then there was a mass upsurge of demand of oil products.
Right.
Definitely, basic economics will tell you that when demand exceeds supply, prices go up. That is what we are faced with. We have not even finished dealing with that, and then Ukraine also came in. So we are having to deal with this issue between 24th of February to now. Oil was hovering around 98 to 100. From 28 to March 10th, 15th, it was already in $140 range. So how would you discount the impact of the Ukrainian invasion? And we are a country that is part of the
world.
What
were the economic parameters when the issue of Ukraine and Russia didn't come in, when COVID-19?
So it is very simple. We took over an economy that was growing at 3.64%.
And you took it to where?
We took it to 6.5. 2017, 2018, 2019, our economy had grew on the average 7%.
Right.
You understand? So it tells you that COVID really had an impact on our economy. And nobody can discount that. The president yesterday told you that we have spent 17.7 billion during COVID. In a period where...
But how much did you receive during COVID?
No, we received less than that.
No, how are you able to tell? The president didn't tell Ghanaians how much you have received.
No, I mean, you see, the two of them...
You cannot tell Ghanaians how much you have spent without telling us how much you had received during COVID. Because COVID gave you a lot of money.
It didn't.
How much did you get from the World Bank?
World Bank, we had 430. It's not that you have even disbursed the last 130 million.
I'm only asking, how much did you get?
So, you know, it's $430 million.
And how much did you get from the donors and, you know, and all of that?
You see, when a donor tells you that I've given a country, say, 1 billion, it doesn't mean all is in liquid cash. Some could be in the form of expertise, others in the form of equipment. When they bring all these things, they value it and add it to whatever they are giving them. So it is an erroneous impression to accept that because, say, EU is making the point that they have given you 1 billion, it means they gave you a fiscal cash of 1 billion. That is not the case.
Apart from the foreign donors, we also had, you know, institutions here in Ghana who were making huge donations.
So have you addressed your mind to the fact that during that period, there was a coronavirus alleviation program that made sure that the enterprise agencies disbursed close to 531 million to the Ghanaian? Are you aware that during COVID, the country had to employ an additional close to 35,000 nurses? Are you aware that during COVID, the frontline health workers had to be given tax waivers to the tune of 36 million? Okay. All these things came at a cost. Are you aware that before schools reopened, they were given sanitizers, face masks, paper towels, and so on and so forth, running into hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis? Are you aware that people were given hot meals? But for COVID, how would we be feeding people on the street?
Admitted.
So it all came at a cost.
Fantastic.
Are you aware that during COVID, we could not, as it was, mobilize close to 11.93 billion as tax revenue? However, we expended in excess of 14 billion, creating a whole of 25 billion deficit.
During COVID, we had met our revenue target. From all those monies we've had.
No, they had.
Did we not meet our revenue target?
You see, Ghana Revenue Authority always comes out with a target. During COVID, we reduced the national target to a target that could be achieved. So that is why in the budget of 2022, it is stated clearly that we could not mobilize close to 11.93. If we achieved our target, why would they say that we could not mobilize 11.93 billion? It is not true.
It's also been admitted that you've done all these things for the good people of Ghana, right? If you're accounting to the good people of Ghana on what you have spent on COVID-19 or during COVID-19, then you should also be telling Ghanaians how much you have received in terms of, you know, cash during COVID.
But that is not difficult. The Auditor General's report will come.
But if the president found it very appropriate to tell Ghanaians how much we have spent during COVID, then why didn't he find it appropriate to tell Ghanaians how much we received?
Because as we speak, we are still in the woods. We have not gotten out of the whole problem. We are still spending on COVID. So the Auditor General's report will capture every bit of how much we have spent on any aspect of the COVID. Right. So that is not something that, and that will be scrutinized by Parliament. Parliament that consists of the NDC and the MPP. Right. So whatever question our good brothers and sisters in the other side of the house, they can ask. This is not difficult a problem. Or you think they can't do a good job?
Well, it's
so assuming the president made a claim that during COVID time we received 2 billion. Because the president said that I'm going to leave it to lie. When he made the claim that we have built 10,875 kilometers, we have an MP who has not provided any alternative figures saying it's a lie. Don't we just say it's a lie for people are not put on the spot.
We have demanded. Okay, we'll come to that. No problem. I mean, can you wrap up for me on the e-levy?
So our economy is. We are trying to fix things. We have been very truthful to the people of this country.
I see.
E-levy is only in to deal with a specific problem for 2022. But after 2022, we would definitely, when things improve, and surely we believe that from the look of things will improve, we will take it from the Ghanaian. We will reduce the suffering of the Ghanaian. It will interest you to know that Bank of Ghana, knowing the problems available now, has even gone ahead to set up a forex market for the petroleum buyers, the bulk distributor of petroleum, so that the forex that they need will not be fluctuating to affect pricing, and that will also go in a long way to reduce our suffering. So Ghanaians must know that we are in a very difficult situation. It is all about all of us contributing to the national kitty so that we do not find ourselves in a very deep hole.
Right, thank you so much, Mr. Osu. That was Mr. Solomon Osu, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party communications team. You're still watching Hot News right here on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. If you're watching us on Facebook, please share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch us or to also watch tonight's edition of the program. If you are not also on Facebook, just go to Facebook search for Pan African Television, like our page, and then you share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch. But let me come to you, Elikem, on our next topic. I'm talking about the 2022 SONA, the State of the Nation's Address presented to Ghanaians by President Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I would want us to focus our attention on the health sector, where he talked about the execution of Agenda 111, project, the hospitals, district, regional hospitals that he promised to build to the president by the end of his tenure in office. He's hoping that those projects are going to be completed. Apart from that, he also mentioned issues of roads, and he talked about the fact that over 10,000 kilometers of roads have been constructed in this country. The minority has refuted those claims anyway, but your take on that?
Yeah, Justice. Do we take the president serious?
Why shouldn't we take him serious?
I mean, this is a president who has made many promises that he has failed on, especially on one that he promised God in his first tenure, which he could not fulfill.
Which one is that?
I mean, the cathedral that he promised God, that if you make me win my elections, I'll build you a cathedral. That aside, Justice, in the Volta region where I come from, there's something we call Abolokbaku.
Okay, what is that?
It
what does it
mean? A gorge. You see, it's very huge, but very empty.
So you have 10 minutes for
that.
That
is how President Nana-Addo now looks to me.
Right.
Why am I saying so? If we zoom into the SONA, in the first place, let me say on authority, I was very surprised and heavily disappointed that a 76-year-old head of state performing a mandatory constitutional duty in the House of Parliament in front of honorable members could turn very clownish and childish with some of his...
What did he do?
You saw his attitudes doing these, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Is this just like what we were taught in Sunday school, that as you grow, you become a kid? That the president thought everything there was just jocular? That we thought the vice president was always nodding his head in a jocular manner, but the president now adding his clownish attitude to it? That was a very sorry state I found the president. It is not too hard. That is a exact description of what the president was doing. I was at a point surprised that did we have a clown on stage? I must tell you the fact. Because I didn't understand even what he meant by all what he was doing. I was like, what was that? Did you understand what he meant?
Also, you meant this?
Yeah, when he did this, and I don't know whether that I'm wearing a round spectacle, I can't see well, or...
Asking the members of Parliament to open their eyes.
So clownish if he cannot speak it. So clownish if he cannot speak it. We must tell him exactly that. I was very disappointed when I saw that. Well, let's go to Agenda 111. You see, President Nana-Addo is not a man of his words.
Are you sure?
As far back as April, in the heat of the pandemic, you recall he came to promise Ghanaians that he was going to build 88 hospitals.
Yes.
How many did he put up?
But that was revised and it was made 111.
So how many could he put up out of the 88 he promised? 0. Then when time was drawing closer and he noticed he couldn't talk about the 88, he thought, let me rather make it a grand promise. So he now said it is 111. And that 111, he told us what? He was going to build it in what? 1 year.
Yes.
In 1 year. Now during the State of the Nation address, what did he say? He said it's going to be built before, at the end of his tenure. So he has now extended it to what? 3 years.
Yes.
This is a president who is becoming.
But you cannot also talk about his failure to establish those hospitals without also talking about the challenges.
But the president was in the midst of the challenge when he was delivering the promises. And we told you that the president was just talking gibberish. He didn't probably even know what he was talking about.
I see.
Because they knew the value of everything, the pricing of everything, but the value of nothing. They were the people, you recall when Dr. Baumia was telling us that, the cost of Ridge was too expensive, $3 million could build a hospital. Well, how many have they built so far? How many have they built so far? So when it comes to even the health sector, etc., I am very happy to announce to you here as we speak that the University of Ghana Medical Center, built by John Dramani Mahama, that was initiated by the late Professor Mills, completed by John Dramani Mahama, is now operating full capacity. A minimum of 1,500 people have been employed directly. 1,500. It is not about coming to say that I am creating jobs to do. No, that is how we create jobs. The infrastructure creates jobs. Aside the fact that the construction process itself employs people to do the work, after completion, it provides jobs avenue. Nurses have been, if you are now talking about employing nurses that Mahama didn't employ at the time, where are you employing them at? Is it not in the facilities that John Mahama put up? That was the reason why there was a freeze at the point, because there was need for us to expand the infrastructure to accommodate more. It is the reason why many have always questioned. You have introduced free SHS. You cannot talk of expansion of the infrastructure to take in more. Now you have to be operating double track, triple track, gold, green, traffic light, what have you. So that is it. Then aside the health sector, which the president doesn't need to be taken serious. I'm not even sure the wife, Madam Rebecca, will take the president serious any longer. Because there has been promises that he has made that has been a failure. And one is just what I'm mentioning to you. Then secondly, the president said that he mentioned he has constructed 10,885 kilometers.
10,000.
And I was surprised. But then again, I felt like, okay, these people must be suffering from something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where you make them know 1 + 1 is 2, and they say, no, it is 3. You have to take them through a whole process before they accept that, oh, I thought it was 3, but it's 2 now. I listened to a sister station interview the Eastern Regional Minister, and according to him, and according to the entire NPP, even roads that they have just taken graders to go and grade, roads that are, let's say, bushy, and they are just going to grade the road, is considered constructed.
I see.
I was shocked when I listened to that yesterday. And even that, Justice, this is just even Accra. Just look around. If you just pass your down here and you turn right to where the car dealership is, look at how bad that road is. 10,800, close to 11,000 kilometers of road. Are we serious? Are we kidding? So where does the president get these figures from? It appears that people are just writing or speeches for him, and his is to just come and read, and then he goes back to sleep. Because it's surprising. Where are these roads? We want to know where they are. Just like they said, we have spent 17 point something billion on COVID-19. Yet we don't know how much we have taken, and we don't even know how they spend that. They said they have provided food for 5 million households in Ghana. Accra's population is about, is it 2.6 million? But they claim that they have actually provided food to over 2.2 million in Accra. Are you aware of that? So the joke has become too much. Sometimes you do not know how to express how you feel. It is good in one point, and in another breath it's not good, because it is good because it allowed the Ghanaian the opportunity now to tell. The Messiah who came saying that I am incorruptible, I'm there to protect the public purse, I am the one to solve Ghana, I will change Ghana within 18 months. Accra will be the cleanest city in 100 days. Suddenly this is what we are seeing. Not only has he become a clown on national television, but he's become a disaster as well too. And permit me to just say, it is the reason why my brother will say that Ghanaians are disappointed in the minority. Even if they are disappointed, fine. It is because Ghanaians in general are against what you are doing. And you see, so I am surprised that at this point in time where we stand as a nation, this is a country governed by people who call themselves apostles of integrity, competence, incorruptibility. But all these things have been thrown to the dogs. They have become irresponsible. They've become very reckless. They don't know how to, they're very extravagant. Suddenly, I never imagined that the president will eat a humble pie one day and take commercial flight. So he's woken up from his sleep suddenly. And so when you look at all these things, and they will blame everything on COVID, but want to take credit for any other thing, blame everything on the minority, and want to take credit for everything, then you realize that this is just a regime that is ready to blame everybody except themselves. And that is what President Nana Addo has symbolized. It is one of the reasons why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has gone mute and has become a pale shadow of himself, because he talked too much than he should have, and has reduced himself to a senior presidential staffer over there, which work that should have been done by the staffers was what he was doing. Now he's been hanged out there to dry. And this is where we find ourselves as a nation. And it's very sad to say the least, Justice.
Thank you so much, Alikem, for your submission. Now let me come to you, Mr. Osu. The minority in Parliament thinks that the Sona message delivered by the president is not a true reflection of the state. The issue on over 10,000 kilometers of roads constructed. They also say that the Ministry of Roads also is not having any data to match what the president has said. They are refuting the statement made by the president. Also about the the Agenda 111 project, that the president says by the end of his tenure.
You don't want to go on the one do and the.
I think that we are just focusing our discussion on these two that are in contention. So your take on that? I mean, do you agree with what the minority is saying?
First of all, let's agree that the State of the Nation address is a constitutional mandate.
Yes.
And that one thing I like about what the president did was that he was very frank with the people of this country. He opened the statement by acknowledging that indeed we were in some form of difficulty. He as a parent, he as a commander-in-chief, he as a former businessman and so on and so forth, admitted that we are in some sort of challenge. And that for me was a good thing. Admitting that you have some challenge was part of the solution. Again, I'm very surprised that you are agreeing with the minority's view that they disagree with the figure that he put out, the 10,875 kilometers. Growing up, or any serious intellectual person, if you tell me that I am saying Mr. Kofi Mensah is smart, wouldn't you provide any evidence?
Okay.
Has the opposition or has the minority provided any contrary figure as to the length of roads that we have constructed in this country? All that they have told the people of this country is that what the president said is not true.
Don't you think that it will also be clear if the president is making claims?
No, but you see,
if the president is making claims and is able to break down, you know, the claims, of course, over 10,000, fantastic. Where are these projects? Which regions? For instance, if you take the Ashanti region, how many kilometers of roads out of the over 10,000 have been constructed over there? If you take the Eastern region, if you take the Central region and all of that, some of the places specifically, then we can also do fact check.
But that is very easy to verify. That is very easy to verify.
How do you verify that?
When you go to the highways, when you go to the roads ministry, it's very, very.
And the minority is saying that the road ministry doesn't have any data.
Now, how would they know?
That.
But did they provide any?
Because they have verified. They have wanted to cross-check that from the road ministry.
They didn't do that. Look, you know the basis of their claim. They said the road ministry held a press conference in 2021.
Yes.
Somewhere in May, and said that the total road that this government between 2017 to that May we had constructed was in the region of 4,263 kilometers. And to them, between May and now, we cannot add close to 5,000 and something to the road network. Now the ministry has come out to break it down that between June of 2021 to December of 2021 we added close to 1,502 kilometers.
Where are they?
The roads are there. Look, if you pass through North Carolina, we have done upgrade. If you go to Asylum Down, if you go to Kumasi, inner city roads, if you go to Tamal, did you see the flyover? Go to several areas. You see, it is very easy for the minority to say you are lying. Ask them where are the figures. As a responsible opposition, if you tell me that the president is lying on figures that he has turned out or put out, you must provide your contrary figure. Then it becomes very easy that, all that the president will say, anytime the president says something, I'll just come and say that, he is lying, or he lied. He lied based on what? Based on what figure is the minority saying the president lied? That must be the question that must agitate the minds of the people. Other than that, all that we'll be doing will be politics. Again, on the issue of Agenda 111. See, we have always believed that every opportunity, every problem presents an opportunity.
Okay.
You see, but for COVID, we wouldn't have paid attention to the 101 districts that are without district hospitals. So instead of we castigating the president, we must rather applaud him that he, in the midst of problems, he has identified that we need to take an opportunity to correct anomaly.
Applaud him for promise and fail.
He has not failed. Look, yesterday he said something, and that is the reality on the ground. That acquisition of lands in this country is a major problem. The land administration
government shouldn't have problems.
No, you have
acquiring
to.
Lands.
Because lands are not all lands are in the hands of government. Some of you have to acquire it compulsorily, and it goes with a lot of things. You have to pay adequate compensation. You have to make necessary laws to be able to do that. But this one, he has given a timeline. So time is a scarce commodity for us now. But God being so good, we've been able to deal with about 87 of it, and that construction has started.
Did the president envisage some of these challenges in terms of acquisition of lands and all of that? When he earlier promised 88 within a timeline, and he never delivered a single one.
He anticipated some of this problem, but he didn't see the extent of the problem. That is what I say. Then why, you know, sometimes you can make one or two that within a month you could deal with that issue, but it could be deeper, especially where you have a land that belongs to families. If you are dealing with this man, another person will come and they will come and tell you that, oh, that is not the right person to deal with. But the good thing is that what we must focus ourselves or address our mind to is, he has promised that before the end of his tenure, he will deliver. That must be something that must agitate our minds. And not the fact that,
Ghanaians are now living in doubt because he once promised to deliver within a year and he failed to do so.
No, but it is normal. That's why in every contract we have variations.
It is normal to promise and fail.
No, he has not failed. He has told you that by the time he leaves office,
within the timeline he promised, he has failed.
He has not failed.
No, he has now renewed the promise.
No, he said the initial promise was that 18 months he will deliver. Let's even go by his 18 months. Have you exhausted the 18 months? The shortcutting for the Agenda 111 was in the 17th of August 2021.
He announced it in April, please.
No, but the shortcutting at Tetrim, was it not in August of 2021? So how would anybody sit Elika and his people?
111 hospitals.
But now what he has told the world.
I asked a simple question. By August, are you able to construct 111 hospitals?
By August will not be 18 months. By August will be 1 year, twice 12 months. We'll be left with 6 months. So let's finish with the 18 months and let's see how many will be ready and how much more will be ready by the time he finishes.
Are you aware that even prior to renewing his promise for that 18 months, he had promised 88 hospitals and he never delivered a single one?
No, but you see, I don't understand. Are you not happy that a president has made a promise and he has re-echoed it that before the expiration of his tenure of office he would deliver? That is what must agitate your mind.
But I have every doubt.
Why do you have doubt?
Well, then let me come to that. As a Ghanaian, I'll have every doubt about the president having, promised some 88 earlier, came back, reviewed and renewed the promise. We've not even seen a single one, and he is now coming back to renew that.
He has not renewed. All that he told you was that when you are going to build, there are pre-contractual.
So you don't know these things.
So what the president has told you is that he did not anticipate the extent of the problem, and for that matter, let's extend it. He has not said it will go beyond his tenure of office, but within his tenure of office, he would deliver.
Nobody.
Why don't you have patience to see to how you don't want to see the Ghanaian having all these
hospitals?
As
for the tenure of office, it has been given to you by Ghanaians. So whatever you do with it, that is within the contract that has been signed. Nobody forced President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo to give anybody a timeline.
Yes. No, but the point is that so you were expecting the president to just come and say that.
Is this what Alan Cash is also coming?
No. You see, let me come. I'm coming to your issues that you raised. You see, he has finished his statement. See, the president made a promise to the people of this country that we are going to put up 111 hospitals. Now, he has faced challenges, and that is why we have a State of the Nation address. Whatever challenge you face, you go to the State of the Nation and then tell the people of this country. Don't you like a frank president? So you wanted the president to keep quiet so that by the 18th month he will just then come and tell us, my people, I should have told you earlier on. That is prompting you that the timeline that I gave you, it will not be the same time I will deliver, but I will rather need about 4 or 5 additional months to top it up. That is all to it. And again, my brother was saying yesterday the president was behaving as though he was a clown. I'm very surprised. Why in this country that in 2015 a whole sitting president could not even see his papers whilst he was addressing the ECOWAS summit, 47th ECOWAS summit, a whole paper. That one wasn't even clown. We didn't classify it as that. I'm very surprised that your president will be in parliament and say he's a clown. 76-year-old man. What is so special about an old man speaking? All of us are going to get to that age. Age is just a number. So I do not agree with him that he was a clown, he was behaving jokingly. Now, what was jokingly about it?
So what does this mean?
You are not seeing the development. The development, but you have asked right here in this room. You have asked that what are the rules? What are the roads? Yeah. So, the man is saying you are not seeing it.
So it means that
open your eyes. You are not seeing the roads.
Okay. But why was he using a clown attitude?
Nobody. Once I was saying, you are not opening your eyes. You are not seeing anything.
Not dumb and deaf. We can hear.
The truth of the matter is that the state of the nation is a mixed feeling. And on this, I want to congratulate the bill.
Happy with the current state of the nation?
No, it could be better. But you see, we cannot isolate ourselves from what is happening in the world. We have to be frank. We have to be sincere. But for political expediency, even in your time that you didn't have anything comparable to COVID, we had worse in COVID. Your lights are on. In COVID, students are going to school free at the SHS level. In COVID, you have 10,875 kilometers of road. For the first time, Cameroon has seen a flight over. What else, my brothers and sisters?
Right. Thank you so much, also for your submission. I'm so
we still want that.
We have to
recall we're told that we were promised a sky train.
Who promised you?
And you see, that is why, let me just do this. Okay. In 2019, Baumia Cars sold 400 kilometers of Kumasi inner city roads. That was in 2019.
Right.
In 2022, Baumia Cars sold 400 kilometers inner city roads. So you see how they are doing the thing. So overall, they will now tell us.
Let me see the source of
this is Ghana.
But that's Ghana work.
Photoshop something that is showing the people of the
All right.
And the reason why the Agenda 111 we can't find. You recall? You went to the health ministry. The health ministry says they don't have any document on Agenda 111.
Who said so?
This is it's in the news. Everybody watching.
Which news item?
You see?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elikem. This is time will last.
Oh, let me say good evening to MFA Brampa, who said a little girl who said she is watching you.
Oh, I see. Yes. How are you, MFA? I hope you are fine.
7-year-old, I'm told.
Oh, wow. MFA, thank you so much for watching. Uncle will come and see you one of these days. This is what time will allow us on the program. Make a time with us, same time next week. My name is Justice Appiah, and the show has been Hot News. Let me say a very big thank you to Tio, my cameraman, to Sewa, my director, Seches, my soundman, TT, also everyone who has been part of the production. Thank you all so much. Elikem, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Osu. I'm so grateful for your time. You are, the two of you are people who doesn't joke. You don't joke with this platform at all, and I'm so grateful for that. Goodbye.